Surely many of you love beer, lager, ale, porter, stout. One way or another, these varieties are familiar to almost all of us. But drinking a can of cold pah after a hard day's work. Have you ever thought how interesting and full of interesting facts is the history of this drink? Welcome, dear viewers, to the fascinating world of beer. Today we are going to travel through the history, culture, and science of this ancient drink, which is so close to the heart of many of us. Beer is not just a drink, it is a source of a wealth of experiences and, of course, an impressive number of facts that will probably surprise you. However, remember that abusing alcohol will have a bad effect on your health, and it is contraindicated for pregnant women, those under the legal drinking age, and those with chronic illnesses or vulnerable to alcoholism. Take care of yourself. And by the way, hello, the Wood Channel is broadcasting for you, and today we're going to talk about 10 facts about beer. Beer is not just an alcoholic beverage. It's a part of humanity's cultural heritage with amazing historical, scientific, and cultural aspects. Here's one fascinating fact about beer that emphasizes its uniqueness. In ancient times, in Egypt, beer played an important role in people's lives and was a means of payment for labor. From time to time, laborers involved in building the pyramids and other great structures were given portions of beer as part of their wages. This not only quenched their thirst on a hot day, but also provided them with important nutrients, such as carbohydrates and vitamins, which helped them stay strong for the physically demanding work. Interestingly, beer in ancient Egypt was part of cultural and religious rituals. It was considered a gift from the gods and was used in many ceremonies and rituals of worship. And this is just one of many examples of how beer was an integral part of the history and culture of various peoples. This fact illustrates that beer has a distant history and has deep roots in different aspects of human life. It is not only a beverage, but also a symbol of socializing, joy, and spending time together. Beer has been a source of inspiration for many arts, including literature, painting, and music, and its variety and flavors attract connoisseurs from all corners of the world. Beer is known to have been produced as early as ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Middle Ages in Europe, and it has deep cultural roots in different societies. However, our interesting fact about beer will be about its influence on technology and research. In the early 19th century, brewers and scientists noticed a strange phenomenon that later became known as the Huygens-Lambert pattern. It consists of the fact that beer and many other liquids, when their thickness increases, become darker. This pattern became an object of interest to physicists and opticians. Experiments with beer have led to innovative methods of measuring the density and optical properties of liquids. It is important to note that this research was inspired by beer, and it was later applied to other fields of science and technology such as chemistry, physics, and medicine. Interestingly, the Huygens-Lambert regularity is applied today in numerous fields, including pharmaceuticals, biochemistry, fruit processing, and even astronomy. It allows scientists to study the properties of various liquids, including blood, oils, water, and more. Thus, beer, in addition to its role as a national beverage, has had a significant impact on the development of scientific research and technological advancements. This fact emphasizes that even the most mundane things can be the source of important discoveries and developments in the world of science and technology. Germany has a law known as the Beer Purity Law Reinheitsgebot. This law was originally passed in 1516 in the German province of Bavaria and was one of the first laws regulating the quality and composition of beer. According to this law, beer must be made from only 3 ingredients: water, malt, and hops. Later, in 1906, yeast was also recognized as an acceptable ingredient. The Beer Purity Act was an important step in the history of brewing as it standardized the quality of beer and protected consumers from inferior products. This law set a precedent for many other countries and regions that have also implemented similar laws and regulations. It is important to note that the Beer Purity Law remains in force in modern Germany, and it has inspired many breweries around the world to strive for the highest quality and purity of ingredients in beer production. The law has also become part of Germany's brewing heritage and a symbol of its beer culture. The Beer Purity Act has become a model for other countries and regions. that have also started to develop laws and standards for beer production. It emphasizes the importance of quality and tradition in brewing, as well as attention to consumer health. This law has made German beer known and respected around the world, and many breweries in different countries follow similar principles, even if they are not strict laws. So, the beer purity law emphasizes how beer is not only a beverage, but also part of a cultural heritage that has been shaped and developed over many centuries. This law serves as a reminder of how seriously people take beer and is one of the amazing aspects of the world's beer history. Did you know that the first brewers in history were women? There are many interesting stories hidden in the historical aspects of beer and women's role in its production. In ancient times, beer production was an integral part of households, and women, as care and hostesses, were quite knowledgeable about the process. They were responsible for many stages, from malting to fermentation and storage of the beverage. It was women who were in charge of beer production in many cultures of antiquity. In ancient Egypt, women owned not only the family, but also the family brewing business. They managed the entire production process, and beer was often consumed in religious rituals and was part of daily life. In ancient Mesopotamia, women were also actively involved in beer production. They were involved in malting, brewing, and even selling beer in the markets. This drink was such an important part of the culture that the goddess of beer, Ninhursag, was highly revered. During the Middle Ages in Europe, monasteries became brewing centers, and many nuns were involved in beer production. Following in the tradition of their male counterparts, beer was part of the monastery's diet and was a saleable commodity. Over time, as the industry developed and commercial brewing grew, the role of women in brewing began to change. However, their contribution to the history of beer remains significant. In modern times, women have taken up brewing again, and a host of women-owned breweries around the world are proving that brewing has no gender limitations. This story of women and beer emphasizes their important role in diverse aspects of human history and culture. The admiration and passion for beer transcends gender, and it permeates many aspects of our lives, regardless of who is at the brewing cauldrons. Guinness is the true embodiment of dark beer with its own unique character. One of its main features is that the bubbles do not rise, but tend to stay at the bottom of the glass. This mysterious phenomenon is due to the fact that instead of the usual carbon dioxide, Guinness is saturated with nitrogen. Nitrogen is weakly soluble in liquid, and that is its uniqueness. The use of nitrogen instead of carbon dioxide gives the beer a special softness and creamy texture. The flavor of Guinness is enriched with notes of chocolate, coffee, and nuts, making it uniquely rich and complex. To preserve this unique phenomenon, there are certain rules for serving Guinness in glasses. This art of pouring involves special techniques, such as pouring angle and speed of serving. This helps to preserve the beautiful creamy foam and bring out all the subtleties of flavor of this amazing beer. Guinness certainly stands out among other beers, and its secret lies in the art of using nitrogen and careful preparation for serving in a glass. This drink has become part of Irish culture and rituals, and its unique nature continues to attract connoisseurs around the world. The first beer advertisement is not just a historical moment, but part of a rich cultural and advertising history. It reflects an interesting mix between social norms, the beer business, and creative approaches to product promotion. Traveling into the world of the first beer advertisement forces us to observe how perceptions of this beverage and advertising methods have changed over time. The first beer advertisement probably appeared right after the invention of brewing, which is known to have ancient roots. For many centuries, beer makers relied on word-of-mouth inheritance and reputation to promote their product. However, as commerce and market relations evolved, the need for more systematic sales approaches began to emerge. In medieval Europe, beer was a popular beverage, but advertising in the modern sense of the word was absent. Beer sellers used various ways to attract attention, such as shouting advertising, slogans, and brightly colored signs on beer establishments. The first known beer advertisement is believed to be an ad placed in Pal's Head, a newspaper published in London in 1667. The advertisement belonged to Samuel Pepys's brewery, and it encouraged merchants and residents of London to try some excellent beer. This can be considered the first step in the direction of beer advertising, as we are used to seeing it today. With the development of print and mass communications, and the increasing competition in the beer business, breweries began to use advertising methods more aggressively to promote their products. In the 19th century, with the heyday of the Industrial Revolution, beer became a mass-produced commodity, and advertising campaigns became an integral part of its promotion. Could you have guessed that hops belong to the same plant group as marijuana? This assertive fact is sometimes surprising and raises additional questions. Is it true that hops and marijuana have something in common other than the fact that they belong to the same botanical family? First, it is worth noting that hops Humulus lupulus and marijuana Cannabis sativa do belong to the same family, the hemp family Cannabaceae. This botanical similarity is due to a number of common traits, including leaf and flower structure, as well as some chemical similarities. However, it is important to realize that these similarities are about appearance and classification, and do not mean that hops and marijuana are similar in their properties and uses. The main difference between hops and marijuana lies in the chemical composition and uses. Marijuana contains the psychoactive substance THC tetrahydrocannabinol, which causes a hangover effect when consumed. This makes marijuana popular for recreational and medical use, but it can also cause psychotropic effects and addiction. While hops are used in brewing to give beer its characteristic bitter taste and aroma, it contains hops, a component that is added to beer to balance the flavor and antiseptic properties. Hops can also have relaxing and soporific effects, making it useful in some traditional folk remedies. Thus, hops and marijuana share similarities on a botanical level, but their uses and chemical composition differ significantly. In practice, they are used in very different areas: marijuana in medical marijuana and for recreational purposes, and hops in brewing and phytotherapy. It is important to distinguish between them and to realize that botanical similarity does not mean identity in action and use. Beer, as a beverage and production, had a significant impact on the way of life and the structure of cities. Let's understand how it worked. During the time of ancient civilizations and medieval Europe, beer was an integral part of daily life. It was an important source of nourishment, as water was in many cases unsafe to drink due to contaminants. Beer, on the other hand, through the process of boiling, became a safe option. This contributed to the formation of permanent settlements and the cities. Brewers, residents, and breweries became key elements of urban infrastructure. Cities developed around breweries and beer taverns, which served not only as places to consume the beverage, but also as centers of social activity. In beer houses, residents gathered, discussed business, exchanged news and ideas. Beer became a kind of sociocultural glue that helped connect people. Often brewery guilds and associations received special rights and privileges from local authorities. This allowed them to develop their production and influence the urban economy. In many cases, brewers were respected and influential members of society. Beer production also stimulated innovation and technological advancement. In the process of improving brewing techniques and developing new beers, cities became centers of intellectual activity and research. Today, beer remains an important part of the world's culture and economy. Many cities around the world are famous for their beer traditions and festivals. City breweries continue to compete to create unique brews and enrich the world's brewing heritage. Thus, the history of many cities is tightly intertwined with beer, and this beverage has played and continues to play an important role in shaping the culture, economy, and social image of cities. You have to brew beer to be a city is not only a historical fact, but also an expression of the close connection between beer and the development of cities over many centuries. In some countries, beer consumption is simply impressive. China, the largest country in the world in terms of population, is also a leader in beer consumption. According to statistics, beer consumption in China is impressive and continues to grow rapidly. This is due to the growing middle class and the changing consumption culture. Beer has become a popular drink at parties, in restaurants, and in everyday life. Another country where beer is of great importance is the Czech Republic. Czech beer is known for its quality and variety of varieties. Beer traditions in the Czech Republic go deep into the past, and this drink is part of the Czech identity. Per capita, the Czech Republic has one of the highest per capita consumption of beer in the world. Beer also remains popular in Germany, Ireland, Belgium, and other countries with a long history of brewing. These countries are famous for their unique beers and traditional festivals that attract beer drinkers from all over the world. The strongest beer is an unusual and perhaps extreme choice for true connoisseurs of this drink. Strong beer has a high alcohol content, which gives it a rich and complex flavor, but also makes it a drink that requires extreme caution and moderation in consumption. Typically, strong beer contains more than 7% alcohol by volume, as opposed to regular beers, which typically have an alcohol level of 6%. However, there are extreme variants, such as imperial stouts and barley wines, which can contain 10% alcohol or even more. The world-famous strong beers include such varieties as double stout, triple stout, imperial stout, and others. These varieties are characterized by a rich flavor, often with notes of chocolate, coffee, and dark fruits. They are characterized by deep shades and have good retention, which makes them popular among collectors and connoisseurs. So, we've covered a lot of fascinating facts about beer, and I hope this video has left you more knowledgeable about this amazing beverage. Beer isn't just liquid in a glass. It's a part of culture, history, and even science. From its ancient roots to modern innovations, beer remains a phenomenon that continues to amaze us. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel for more interesting information. You can also share your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Remember, the world of beer is so diverse and fascinating that there is always something new to explore. So don't miss the chance to try different varieties and discover even more interesting facts about beer. See you in the next video.